Hey scrappers, if you're looking to figure out what materials you should sell this week or hold this week, now is the time to do it. Our weekly report is going to give you that information, up-to-date market news, pricing. Let's get right into it. We'll talk about it inside. Hey scrappers, Tom here. And I can't believe it. It's already June. I mean, when I look at these months going by, it's just absolutely nuts. And when I see the markets changing the way they are, again, completely crazy. I've been looking at lots and lots of comments that you guys have been saying on YouTube, and just looking at some of your comments on YouTube really helped me understand what's going on with the markets. Because from a scrapyard owner's perspective, it's, I have one view and I try to take the scrapper view sometimes just to understand. And reading a lot of your comments online, super, super helpful. So thank you so much. It was just really, really nice to see so many of those comments. And if you ever have questions on things, how they work, how they get taken apart, if they're worth it, please let us know. This way we can incorporate them into all the things that we do. I mean, there's no reason. I don't sit here every week except to help you make more money and to promote the iScrap app and have people, kind of post prices on there. So we'll talk about that whenever. So what's going on with the markets? Copper prices, let's just jump right into copper prices. Week over week, down 5.5%. I'm not surprised by this. If you check any of the reports that we've said over the last month, sell, sell, sell as fast as you can. Copper prices, I'll talk about this for a second, were really crazy, and I'll tell you kind of what I've learned in the last few weeks. Copper prices went up so fast, not because of a supply and demand issue. They went up solely from a trading perspective. What do I mean? Large hedge funds, large traders across the world, they can trade copper stocks. They can trade copper futures, contracts, inventories. So a copper contract, 44,000 pounds, people can trade these just like you trade a pound of copper going to the scrapyard. So when you get traders' hands on some of these things, there can be these artificial run-ups. And now there's going to be an investigation like there was a few years ago when nickel prices shot through the roof. Because when things like that happen, that means that the market can be manipulated in ways that the rules and regulators hadn't thought about. And when you have quick run-ups the way that we did, you're generally going to have quick run downs. I don't know if that's the right phrase, but that's kind of what happened. We saw copper a month ago, May 1st was right around $4.50 trading. Here we are, June 5th, and copper's trading at $4.50. We'll pull up some of the reported prices that we've seen over the last week, and you'll start to see some of the prices are going down, not surprisingly. I mean, I'm not surprised by this. 45-day average of Bear Bright still up. That's not surprising, but we are starting to see those prices going down. Look right here. 270, 390, 310, 340, 407. Rockaway Recycling today is at $4.10. But yesterday I saw the markets drop down 13 cents and I almost dropped my price. Today it's stabilized, but it's really scary because we're just seeing these big price drops. When I talked to a couple of traders, I said, hey, what do you see going on with these markets? And they said, when you're seeing price movements of 10 to 15 cents a pound, up or down, those aren't user generated. Those are more computer generated, which is what we saw yesterday, what we saw earlier this week, and the end of last week. So hopefully you were able to cash in, and that's why we're here. That's why we have, the notifications that go out, the emails, the reported prices, the once a week weekly reports, just to let you know what's going on with those markets, because copper is a funny thing to figure out, especially some of you that don't just do this as a full-time living. If you're doing a part-time scrapping or you're a clean out business. Speaking of clean out businesses, we have a couple of videos coming out that talked about doing clean outs for swimming pools that will help you make some more money on your scrap. So certainly check those out in the coming weeks. We have a couple of those dropping, especially into the summertime. But if you're scrapping part-time, it's good to know about these things because, my brother-in-law had 300 pounds of copper from a house renovation. And he's like, hey, when's a good time to sell? It was about a month ago. I go, the prices are up. The prices are up. I saw him, right around Memorial Day. I go, did you ever sell that copper? He goes, no, not yet. I go, dude, you got to sell it right now. So the other day he went and cashed in at a local yard near him. We don't live close to each other. And he was like, oh, thank you so much. I didn't expect to get $700 for the scrap. I was expecting, $300-400. So, knowing what the markets are really helps you make more money. So learning about these prices, looking at these prices is only going to help you. So in the last week, we've seen, markets kind of starting to level themselves out, which is good. We've seen aluminum coming down slightly. Markets for aluminum week over week are down about 5%. Kind of corresponding with copper prices. That run up really was very parallel for aluminum and copper, maybe not as high for aluminum because the prices go up by a percentage, and when your price is 1/4 of what copper is, you're not going to go up 20 cents, but it was going up 4 or 5 cents. And those are major market shifts when it comes to aluminum prices. But when we look at aluminum markets, continuing to stay strong. One of the interesting things that I've learned about the non-ferrous markets in the last few weeks, and I'm constantly calling people and texting them, asking them for advice and details and informations, the aluminum and the copper markets seem to be more closely aligned than ever before, especially going into this renewable energy push. Because when copper prices went up so fast, at first people were speculating about why they went up, then they figured it out. But people just started talking about how the United States and the rest of the world are underutilized when it comes to copper. There's not enough out there for the projects that are on tap, whether it's wind farms going up in the Atlantic Ocean, solar panels being built in Arizona, or any of the other type of renewables that are out there being installed across the US and across the world. When you look at these things, it's hard to figure them out, but aluminum, copper, they're going to be two of the catalysts that kind of push this EV momentum forward because of the lightweight durability of aluminum, copper being able to have a lot of electricity transfer through it. Batteries need to be connected somehow. It'll still be better to do it in copper. These new EVs that are coming out, they're not going to have aluminum wiring in them for quite a long time. They want to make sure that essentially the first version of their electric vehicles don't short out. As copper became more expensive a few years ago, it was interesting to start to see more and more aluminum being used in the electrical world. Well, then copper went down in pricing. Copper picked back up in popularity among commercial and residential. But when it comes to electric vehicles, this is a brand new segment. I mean, if you look at Tesla and I'll say Toyota's Prius, those were the two OGs of the EV world, or the beginnings of the electric vehicle hybrid world. And those things are going to catapult some of these metals moving forward. So I don't care if you like EVs or you don't like EVs, right? I like that they need copper. I like that they need aluminum, and that's the point that I'm making throughout all of this. So check it out that. But let's pull up some of the aluminum prices. We'll look at sheet aluminum. Even as aluminum prices have gone down in the last week, we have seen sheet aluminum here. We're at 50 cents a pound. So we're seeing the same week over week, 50 cents. I think that we're paying 52 cents a pound at Rockaway Recycling. Yep, still at 52 cents. So 50, 40, 48, 52. We're 52 cents still. And that's a strong number. And we've made so many videos, none recently, I think, on aluminum, but a lot in our YouTube page that you can go to our YouTube page to be able to search for different types of aluminum, separating and scrap stuff, just to learn about them. So again, aluminum price is kind of really out there. Let's do a couple of things here. I want to answer some questions before I talk about some of the other markets. So here, this week, we had a bunch of questions from our newest video on different types of electric motors. A few people objected to the fact that you said many of those motors are not worth the time to clean. Now, some people may disagree with me, and that's awesome, because my opinion is my opinion, right? I look at it from a scrapyard owner point of view. Some of the larger electric motors, they have 13% of the weight is copper. So if you don't know how to take them apart really well, then you're not going to be able to make a lot of money with them. So the people that object to me saying don't take them apart, well, it all depends on perspective. Here we have the video here in the background that you can see, so you can check out some of the comments that people have said and some of the things that I've said. But we explore different types of electric motors or things that could be electric motors, just to give you a better idea of what we think is worth it and what may not be worth it. So we'll continue to highlight those things, because let's see, most people were complaining, but the nugget of truth said that most scrappers have different ways of pulling apart different metals. If you have a way to pull the motor apart, good for you. If you have the extra time to do it, good for you. Some people don't. And that's why we kind of made that video. I know that some people, they like to use torches, angle grinders. We've done it ourselves where we've just sampled it, where you kind of cut the copper off the side, then you can pull it out the other side, and you can definitely make money with it, right? And then you have a number one steel afterwards. That steel from the electric motors is small and heavy, so that's a good thing. But again, if you're not doing a lot of them at a time, then I would just sell one or two at a time as is, or save it for winter work. If you have winter work, then we get to go from there and figure out what's going on and how you can make more money on those. So let's see. So here, one of the points was math on the motor, right? I think pointing out the math on a motor that's worth 21 cents a pound comes into the time versus money thing. And that's completely true. When motors were only worth 6 cents a pound, it might be worth you saving them because you're not really losing money from having them on the side. If you can sell electric motors for 21, 25, 35 cents a pound, which is today's market, you can cash that in much faster, get it out of the way and not worry about it, or you can save it. But again, difference of opinions. Other things that are going into the summertime, we're not seeing a lot of movement in catalytic inverters. Again, we're just not seeing that market push. We're seeing lower vehicle sales, so we shouldn't be surprised to see those markets down. That doesn't surprise me. I don't see any rebound coming in the catalytic converter industry. So I think we're back to what it was supposed to be before the run-up happened. Kind of easy as easy goes, lots of prices online. So if you're looking to learn more, of course, rrcats.com is out there for it. Now, what's going on in other metals? Stainless steel markets, relatively straightforward, week over week, pretty much the same. I continue to recommend selling stainless steel, but when it comes to other metals that might have nickel content or carbide, we have started to see a price increase. Carbide, for instance, is up about 15 to 25 cents, and we're starting to see a little increased value on nickel-bearing items as well. So if you're looking for any prices or to learn about it, rrcarbide.com, from different types of carbide where you can learn about it, to other grades of material. Lots of things on here for you to be able to check out and really just learn from what's going on in the markets. Now, one thing that I want to talk about is oil prices, and I've been really surprised to be paying less money at the pump. I mean, I go to fill my pickup truck the other day and it was about 20 bucks less than I thought it was going to be. So that was a real nice surprise. And we've seen oil prices going down, and I think gasoline prices are down 14 cents a gallon the last couple of weeks. That's going to also go to the diesel side, and that's going to help when it comes to trucking. I use different freight brokers, and it's interesting because I get to read a lot of the freight broker reports, and you might not say, oh, Tom, how does that affect scrap? Well, it does. The more trucks that are out there that are available, that means that the market may be slowing down. So then shipping rates become cheaper. Gas and other diesel fuel prices become cheaper. That could ultimately help the scrap market. Right now, when we're looking at scrap steel, that's the most heavily affected when it comes to oil, just because of the weight versus the price. And unfortunately, we've seen the prices of steel going down yet again, and we're just not seeing a lot of strong growth. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the steel market the next few years, because I know of half a dozen steel mills that are being built across the United States right now. And once those steel mills are complete, they're going to be able to absorb a lot of the material that was getting shipped overseas. So it's going to be a really interesting transition between 2024 and 2030 to see what steel prices do. But for the balance of June 2024 in the summer, I don't see a lot of movement. I don't see a lot of good coming from it. When I look at oil and gas prices, I don't know, I'm not really, I don't see them going to $100 a gallon or a barrel like we saw back in June of 2022. But we're still higher than we were a few years ago, and it does affect steel prices. If we could pull up some of the steel prices just to see what some of the markets are looking like with that price drop of about $15 a ton over the last week taking place. There's rumors that we could see it dropping again. If you just look at this screen real quick, you're going to see some red sprinkled in there. Automobile scrap at 170 a ton, bushling 251, car scrap 132. Light iron looking right around 155. Cars in that 165, 175 range. I don't see any of these numbers moving much. Look at rotors, 240, shred 155. You see some green on here, but you're going to start to see more and more red, especially for the base metals as prices go down. I mean, unfortunately, it is what it is. But again, not something I recommend holding. Please don't try touching your steel as little as possible other than things that you're going to take apart to make money, because you just don't. So, we had a guy right before I walked in here just dropped off a water heater. He's like, I finished the job. It was in my truck. It was in my way. I needed out of here, dropped it off, got a few bucks, and was on his way. That's the perspective that you really should have. And one thing you should look out for right now, a lot of spring cleanouts are still happening. I'm seeing it all over the place when I'm driving around. I saw 4 different grills just yesterday. So check those out. We got a lot of videos on how to make money on summertime items as well. So scrappers, today is Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. Super happy that you stayed with me till the end here. Ask any questions that you have. And until next week, I'll scrap you later.
Thanks for watching our video. For $2.99 a month, by becoming a member, you can get access to early videos, member-only videos, merchandise discounts from our store, and priority comments that we answer before answering any other scrappers. Click the link below to learn more. Until next time, scrap you later.